So, Joanna, you cool with all this stuff? Do you have
humility? No.
Yeah, I'm like
obedience? No. Protestant work ethic? Highly doubtful.
We're like, no, I reject the Protestant work ethic.
I do.
And I plan to bitch about it
I
during
will.
this episode. It's the podcast that Sly Serpent warned you about.
Welcome to Biting All the Apples, where two gals discuss one radical book.
The 1895 bestseller, The Woman's Bible by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. I'm Sara Kaye.
I'm Joanna V.
We're back to finish what we started last week, the Book of Judges, featuring the ultimate judgess.
Deborah.
Also known as Deborah.
Deborah.
But
if you watch children's videos, I'm going with Deborah.
We're going to call her Deb. And if she allows us enough time, we'll get to the Book of Ruth. That's right. It's ladies' night. Filled with battles, devotion, and some manual labor. You're going to love what our 19th century feminists have to say about it all. Before we shift gears to the Victorian era, let's recap with our timeless disclaimers.
These might go famous someday. Biting All the Apples covers analysis of religious texts. Some listeners that are religious out of the need for the illusion of certainty may find the content offensive. Biting All the Apples also discusses historic texts and feminist movements. We recognize that individuals, groups, and alternative movements have been left out of the mainstream history. We will note that whenever possible. We are open to additional information provided to us in the spirit of expanding knowledge.
Full of it. We're full of it this week.
We're full of expansion.
I know.
I'm expanding.
We're full of expansion.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
Is
That's
that, yeah, expanding fear.
Yeah.
Expanding.
Concern.
Concern was the word.
Yeah. I'm very concerned.
I'm so concerned.
Joanna, you know what I just put together this week? Because there's a lot of hubbub on the internet. Do you love?
I love hubbub.
This is hubbub talk. There's some hubbub about, it's kind of like Catholic converts versus there's a term now called cradle Catholics.
Oh, yeah.
Or has that been a thing?
I think that's been a thing forever.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I'm a cradle Catholic.
And did you know that, like, before?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I did.
I go before.
You know.
Before what? Before time? Yeah.
Before cradle. Yeah. I'm a cradle Catholic.
So that's why I asked. I was like, do you have a picture of you at your first communion? And then I remembered, do you remember that I borrowed your first communion dress for my first communion?
What? Did you get my gloves?
I don't think I had any gloves.
I probably kept them. I told you I really like those gloves.
Were they lace?
They were just white silk, kind of like Oompa Loompa gloves. Probably why I liked them. Also a big fan of Oompa Loompas.
I like that.
Which some people are terrified of.
Yeah,
just
but
like Catholicism. It's like Oompa Loompas, Catholicism, boop, boop. You never know. But yeah, maybe I kept the gloves. I do remember now.
Is it coming back to you?
It was a great dress.
So I need to find a picture, and then we do a picture, and then because that
me and you together. I know I haven't. I told you, JCPenney photo shoot I got, so I'll have like real details. I mean,
my gosh,
that's a fancy
in real lighting. I think I just have like a yard picture.
I think they had blue carpet. This is my and then maybe like a little kneeler for me to sit at and pray. Because why did JCPenney have a kneeler? I don't know. They must have done those photo shoots all the time. So I can't wait to find that. I think
they're
it was
like,
blue.
the Catholics are coming in.
Get the kneeler.
Get the kneeler.
They like to kneel and stand. Kneel and stand.
But it's a hubbub on the internet. People are just going at each other.
Is one better than the other? I mean, is it better to be converted or to be a cradle?
Well,
This is my question.
Well, I think the cradle folks
feel a little slighted.
Yeah, they're like, you can't just like drop in unless you've been properly traumatized as a child. I mean, that's like a summary of it. I'm sure there's more nuance to it, but I mean, we're not in the age of nuance.
That's right. Yeah. We don't have time for that.
So, and all that just reminded me of how weird I felt during First Communion because I was like, why are we all like in bridal dresses?
I mean, veils and I don't know what the gloves were for.
Not everybody had gloves, but that must have been nice for praying. But I found...
I was the baby, you know. I don't even think my sisters had gloves. I was probably like shopping and I was like, gloves.
Oh, you got whatever you want.
That's for me.
because so I made a post and some people comment, lots of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of fun. And again, this is probably a couple weeks after the fact.
That's the tick of the tack.
On the tick of the tack. And then it was really fun because people were like, I had this dress, or that was crazy. Lots of fun stuff. But it reminded me because somebody was like, that's not what it means. They weren't dressed like brides and acting as if it was like this holy, like sacred tradition. And I'm like, let me just look into when they started making little girls wear these white dresses. This is going to tie right into our Victorian ladies because guess when they started doing that?
When?
In the mid to late 1800s. My notes, I don't have like the exact date, but it makes sense because that is also when the white bridal gown became a thing.
Oh my gosh.
Queen Victoria got married in a white gown, and that wasn't a thing before.
Oh my goodness.
So anytime people are like, it's just, our ancient tradition, I'm like, well, no, it's just like a fashion.
1800s.
Yeah.
How funny.
It's just a
That's
fashion.
so funny. One of my favorite stories from my wedding, because everybody, white dress. I had a kind of different wedding because I was Indian wedding and like I'd say a Christian wedding, but really like my friend Gabby, who's a English teacher, was my minister officiant. But my favorite aunt, one of my favorite aunts was like, are you going to wear that frock all night? And I'm like, frock? This is my wedding dress.
Did you have a frock?
No, it was my white wedding dress. But if you know anything about Indians, very fancy, right? So the white was just like plain. Like in India, everything's very colorful. So like when you get married, you wear red and gold and lots
that
of
makes a
jewelry
little more
and stuff.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just had the white frock. And she's like, oh, you keeping that white frock on all night? And I was like, it's my dress. Is it a frock?
Is it a frock? Like,
but that's interesting. Yeah, I always thought, just everybody always got married? But 1800s.
Yeah.
Well, probably before that, it was probably like the Bible where they just like took the lady and they're like, there's no wedding. Go make babies from my loins.
And then I wonder what they did for First Communion.
Oh, yeah, right.
Or did they even pay attention to children back then?
Probably not.
They're just like, whatever. Get on your kneeler.
Get on your kneel and don't speak.
Victorian era. It always goes back to that.
I love it.
I've decided
we're just, in it.
I've decided that the 1800s are like our sister century right now.
I hope so because there was so much change.
Right. So I'm declaring it right here, right now.
We're part of the revolution.
That's right.
Women are taking over.
Any minute now.
And this will be the time they're going to revise the Bible.
It's true.
It's time.
Oh, when they do, there is a part. Let's get into it.
Oh,
because
right.
let's get into this. I forget, one of the contributors talks about that. She's like, so when you take our notes, and you make the new Bible so that everything will be equal and lovely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet.
Sorry that you died and it didn't happen.
Sorry.
And that many other people have died and it still didn't happen. Even the Pope died. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Getting back into this.
Book of Judges. We've already been in the Judges, but we stopped last week because we were getting into the women. Can you believe back then there were women judges?
Back in the colony days, as they called them?
Yeah.
But not like colonies like
European.
We're talking like biblical colonies.
Yeah, biblical colonies.
Which they do go into that.
It's very interesting.
Well,
because we had to fight so hard. So like we had power taken away. And now we're in the taken away part again, which is a little depressing. But anywho.
It's not theirs to take, ladies. Remember that.
We shall not wipe the dew from your spectacles. Move it.
Deborah, Debbie, was
a
a prophet, though, and it wasn't common for women to be judges.
No.
One of the only judges. She was a prophet chosen by the Lord to sit under a palm tree.
And answer questions.
Yep, she was like the Supreme Court of one.
A prophetess.
I like that.
I like it, too. I think that'd be a job I'd apply for.
Prophetess. I'm sure they're hiring.
Go sit under that tree. Let people come to you. And prophetessize. Is that a word? I just made it up.
It is. It is. Is it in here?
Yeah. So I also like that there's Barack in here. Who knew? Barack Obama and Deborah in the Bible. Just kidding. But every time I read Barack, I'm like,
I know. And I'm like, is it Barack? What? We're going to say it's Barack and Deborah, and then people can just freak out. We're like, we know that's not the right pronunciation.
I told you, though, I looked up one name And I looked up the pronunciation, and I was right. So I was like, I'm done looking it up.
Good enough. You're like, I already got it.
Obviously, I'm an expert.
I love it. So what do these Victorian ladies have to say about Deborah? What do you think? What hit you?
Well, the first thing is like the Bible tried to say that she was married, right? And so the very first thing was like, some commentators say that Deborah was not married to a man by the name of Lapidoth.
Oh, yeah.
That such a terminology is not customary to the name of a person, but of a place. So they think, and I agree, I mean, who am I, that the text should read Deborah of Lapidoth, indeed, because Deborah seems to have had too much independence of character, wisdom, and self-reliance to have ever filled the role of the Jewish idea of a wife. And I'm like, that's right, Deborah.
Deborah of Lapidoth.
Deborah. You're probably right. It probably is Deborah. That sounds very biblical.
It does sound biblical.
Deborah.
So Elizabeth, once again, we should always just kick off and be like, here's where Elizabeth is like, she was one of the great judges of Israel for 40 years.
Yeah.
And her name is not on the list along with Gideon, Barak, Samson.
Yeah. I mean, did you ever hear about Deborah before you read this chapter?
I mean, just in, like, I knew it was, no. How's that for a short answer? I'm like, how about no?
I never heard of her.
So she
And I picked out my confirmation name. I'm sure I was looking through a list.
You've definitely been
I probably would have picked her.
Would have been like, Deb.
I picked Deborah.
My favorite parts are how they talk about, the story, so Deborah, is it Barak?
It's not.
Barak, that's it. Okay, anyways. So the Israelites are chilling. She's judging. Everything's going great. And then some like war people are coming. The cannons.
Like from the cannon. People. It's different towns. That's right. Funny. Yeah. So just like, always got to have war.
And then Barak comes to her and he's like, what are we going to do? And she's like, go like kill them. This is exactly what it says. Anyways.
Yeah. And then
he's like, I can't go alone.
You have to come with me.
But it's because he didn't trust God. So again, we have this whole story really, really is about that whole like blind faith.
Faith.
Don't ask questions. You should trust God. And then
she went with him.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not going to go unless you go with me. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, such a dude. You mean to hold your hand, Barak? And she was like, I'll do it.
Because we gotta go.
But she threatens, and this is the part where the Victorian ladies like really get into this. But the worst fate, and she was like, well, you can, if you're not going to trust in God and you need me to go with you, then I got to tell you, a woman's going to win this thing and you're not going to get credit for it, which is like the worst fate ever.
For a man.
And this is what they talk about.
That's what they do, yes. He actually, I don't think he believed it, right? Isn't that what it said?
Yeah, he didn't believe it.
Like he was like, okay, come, but no.
Yeah, and added an extra pang to a man's death. Like it's like the worst thing. And there's a couple different points in here.
Because I do have this highlighted. He, feeling the need of her wisdom and inspiration, insisted that she accompany him. So, mounted on pure white jackasses, they started for the field of battle.
You're not going to jackass me right now, Joey.
But the color of the jackass indicated the class that you belonged to. So they were distinguished peoples.
Yes.
Barak and Deborah.
Yes.
Because if you were ordinary, you would have a gray, or I guess the hair would be falling off, because isn't that what mottled means? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like we don't know. What is this? But anyways, they were
doing studying for the SATs. I don't know. So he goes. She has to go with him, and they have this battle, right?
Yeah.
And
with this Sisera.
Yeah, Sisera.
Oh, Sisera. That sounds better.
Sisera, and the Israelites are winning, and Sisera goes and tries to hide. He goes into a tent like a coward. He hides, but this chick named Jael.
Love this.
Go for it. Do you want?
No, you go ahead. Okay. Do it.
And he's like, can I seek comfort here? And she's like, sure you can. And she's like really nice to him. And then when he's sleeping, she drives a nail through his temple.
Yeah. She helped him to sleep. She helped him to sleep. That's really nice of her. I mean, she knew she had to kill him. She let him fall asleep.
So this is
nails in the temple. Can you imagine?
Girl. I'm going to think of that every time when you see like in like cop shows and stuff, and they're like, well, it couldn't have been a woman because women use poison to kill.
No.
And I'm like, no, they don't.
No.
No, they don't.
Look back in the Bible. Judges. Little nail to the temple.
So she's the one that wins, pretty much like seals the deal, wins the whole thing. So Barak has to deal with the fact that he was not the victor.
And she was named, right?
Jail?
Yeah. She was Herber's wife. So, crazy. And then it does talk a lot about how, like, this was not good because how could a woman do this and a man couldn't? And the feeling of the man that wanted, be the victor.
Yeah.
And yet a woman had to really get the guy. It didn't sit well.
It didn't sit well.
With men.
And Derek didn't like that.
The great generals did not forget in the hour of victory to place the crown of honor on the brow of Jael for what they considered to be a great deed of heroism. Jael imagined herself in a line of her duty and specially called by the Lord to do the service for his people. So she was like, I don't really, I just did it for the Lord, and that hopefully many other women would put nails in temples also for the Lord, But so they talk about it. And so at this period, God was really into battles. We're in the Old Testament.
There you go.
Right?
That's right. Yep.
Everything was a battle. So though he had made all the tribes, we hope, to the best of his ability, yet he, capital H, hated the sacred fabulous, tell us. Those are the storytellers.
I love sacred fabulous.
Everybody but the tribe of Israel. And even they were objects of his, capital H, vengeance half of the time. So it's like he was just like hating on everybody. He wanted his followers to go into battle, and then he'd be proud of them, but then he'd be mad at them for something else.
He was just like really
It's very hard to please. Very hard to please.
I know. I wonder if he's like...
Probably needed hormones, maybe.
I know. I was like, he might have been God was going through menopause, or maybe he had a little IBS flare up. But he was like pissed off a lot. He was really hard to please.
He liked hard to please. He didn't know what he wanted.
Totally high maintenance.
Do you want me to sacrifice my child? No. Yes.
Yes. No.
Yes.
I can't do this. I can own land. I know. So this is where I finally came across. I love whenever we start recording. It's almost like I'm like, did I read this?
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I can't find my quote.
I know. So our free thinking gal, which I think we brought up last week, Clara B. Nyman, who is a member of the Free Thinkers. Her response on some of this is so great.
Yes.
And I think, I don't want to read you 2 full pages, but maybe I'll just do this last.
Because we gotta go into Deborah. So Deborah went with them, and along the way, this lovely JL. So 2 women, very prominent.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm just read this last paragraph.
I was gonna say this is why the women really like this judges part, because this is when women
exactly
they're rocking it out.
This. I'm like, which part do I want to read? So the struggle of today among the advance of our sex is to regain and reaffirm what has been lost since the establishment of Christianity. Every religion, says a modern thinker, has curtailed the rights of women, has subjected her to man's ruling, in emphasizing the life beyond the earthly existence become a secondary consideration.
Yeah.
We are learning the great harm which comes from this one-sided view of life, and by arousing women to the dignity of her position, we shall again have women like Deborah, honored openly and publicly for political wisdom, to whom men will come in time of need.
Yay! But they didn't. Spoiler.
And
this free thinkers.
Clara, this is the section that I was thinking of where she's writing in this way. Obviously, she's brilliant. Like her whole response is on this.
All these ladies.
But when you read about their background too, you can start to see where like their concerns. Like I'm starting to see the patterns of where Elizabeth is very. I told you could see like her Protestantism coming through, and her love of intellectualism and stuff.
Yes.
With Clara, the free thinking and like this rationalization and stuff. So she writes, God never discriminates. It is man who has made the laws and compelled women to obey him. The Old Testament and the new books are written by men. The coming Bible will be the result of the efforts of both and contain wisdom of both sexes, their combined spiritual experience. Together, they will unfold the mysteries of life, and heaven will be here on earth when love and justice reign supreme.
CBN?
CBN?
Yeah, all that hope. Like, I'm following her.
Why is that a bad idea?
It's an amazing idea. I'm gonna.
Yes, sir.
I got a little.
You're
a little more
I'm
CBN.
just kidding. Go ahead. CBN me. CBN.
Genius knows no sex.
Mm-mm.
I love that. Just and it's
You're
like that could
that's it.
stand alone.
That's it.
That's it. Genius knows no sex, and women must again usurp her divine prerogative as a leader in thought, song, and action. The religion of the future will honor and revere motherhood, wifehood, and maidenhood. She just believed it, and I would have followed her.
Same.
If I read this 1895, I'd be like, "Let's go."
Yeah, let's go, Clara.
We're going to the
Freethinkers Club.
Where do you go to rewrite the Bible? The Vatican.
Yeah,
We're going to
That's
the
just it.
Vatican.
The Vatican doesn't do Bible.
Yeah, who
crap.
does it? Who does?
Nobody. They just dug it up. I think they just pull it out of whoever's hiney they want. Because she's completely writing this as in like, I'm doing my part for the preparation of reforming this.
Yeah, like we're gonna finish this, and there's a brighter future, and notice, I love that she's like men and women together,
right?
It's not like women want rights and they want to suppress men. No, we want to.
It's not. We don't need a hierarchy.
Knows no sex.
That's right. It doesn't have to be hierarchy.
And actually, we've talked about this before. Like, when did this male-female thing become such a thing? Like, why does it matter?
What a dumb idea.
Dumb idea.
It's totally stupid.
I don't know who thought of that.
I'll tell you who thought of it. Back here, Abraham or whoever that dude is, Adam, Cain, Abel.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, our Victorian ladies were like, Deborah is such a good story. We want more.
Yeah, she's she's everything. Like, hello, why isn't she a bigger part of religion when we talk about it? A prophetess.
I know, I love a prophetess.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What do you want to talk
Gideon.
about next?
Gideon's Bible.
Talk about it. Tell me about it.
One of my favorite Beatles. I just like in the Beatles song when they talk about Gideon's Bible.
Which song is that?
Honestly, I don't even know. It's like a silly one. He goes to a hotel and there's Gideon's Bible, and then I think because when I go to hotels, there's still Gideon Bibles, and I love it.
So where are you seeing? Were you seeing him?
He had 310 sons.
Shut up.
310 sons.
How, does it say it right here in this Bible crap?
Well, not like that. They say 70 sons.
70. Oh, I didn't pick that.
Yeah, 70 sons. And then I had to write it out because 310.
310. You're like, that is 310.
But you know why he had that many?
Why?
He had many wives.
Oh, there you go.
And his concubine, that was Shechem, also bare him a son.
Okay, where's he showing up?
Right after CBN.
Oh, but I mean, like in the story of Judges, like what's Gideon? Or you just want to?
Well, I think he had kids that come into. Well, first of all, I just like saying Gideon.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
it. But he has kids, and out of all of those kids, one of his concubines had a son called Abimelech, and who becomes a prominent figure here, because Abimelech was fighting against things, and a certain woman threw a piece of millstone upon his head, and Abimelech was like, dude, a woman is gonna kill me. And so he had a guy,
is like the worst,
because back then you had a guy that carried your swords, and he's like, dear armor bearer, I'm dying, will you please stab me so I can say you killed me? And that's how he died.
Because he's like, I don't want to say a woman killed me. That rules.
Isn't that awesome? Like, what? So that's Gideon's son.
Okay.
But honestly, he had so many. Did he really even know that happened? I mean, how do you keep track of 310
I love that.
children?
Yeah, then he called hastily unto the young man, his armor bearer, and said unto him, draw thy sword and slay me, that men say not of me a woman slew him. And his young man thrust him through, and he died.
Yeah. And
that's a direct Bible quote.
Yeah, and this is when women weren't allowed in the military. This is when it all started. They were like, women can't be on the front lines.
They slay way too hard.
It's going to make men feel bad.
They slay way too hard.
You can work in the office.
That is exactly, I mean, come on. Is it that simple?
I think so.
I think it's that simple.
It's that simple.
It's the dishonor of being slain by women. I wonder, is it because women birth people? Is it?
I would like to know when it began.
Well, this was written a gosh darn long time ago.
I know. So it began a long time ago. I don't know when this became such a problem.
He lost his life at the hand of a woman, which is considered the greatest disgrace which could befall a man. He had no thoughts of his wicked life nor his eternal welfare, but with his dying breath implored his armor-bearer to thrust him through with his sword, that it might not be said he was slain by the hand of a woman, which we did just say. I didn't need to repeat that.
This is actually so relevant, though.
It is.
Like, it's so relevant right now. Like,
I just picture, like, Hegseth being like, it says right here.
Yeah. It says right here, women can't do that. It says in the Bible. I just became a Catholic yesterday.
Even though, this is, if anybody wants any like military planning advice, you don't have to get rid of women in the military.
Right.
You just need to hire more guys to be the people that come around and like stab somebody. To be like, you weren't killed by a woman. You weren't killed by a woman.
You weren't killed by a woman.
Yeah.
I'm here. Oh, who are you? What is your job? Oh, I'm just the guy that...
I'm just the slayer.
I pretend that I kill them, but they've already been killed.
Right. I mean...
Just to make them feel better as they're dying.
I'm just trying to be a thought leader, or whatever.
Yeah, because Amalek was like kind of a terrible man. And he wanted to be a judge. And in order to instead of like doing things normally, like, probably sitting under a tree like Deborah and answering people's questions, instead he, remember he had 310 brothers and sisters. So he wanted to be a judge. So instead of like, doing judgy things and like, which I think back then was like moral questions and answering them and doing that sort of thing, he just killed all of his brethren except for one. And the only reason he didn't kill
That's one way to run a campaign.
The only reason he didn't kill that one is because he got away. So he enjoyed his ill-gotten honors, but only for a short time. And so, and the ladies say, we find many such stories in Hebrew mythology, which have no foundation in fact. But obviously, maybe this Hebrew mythology made its way into the Bible because it's written by humans and not inspired by.
I'm very curious about Hebrew mythology.
Oh yeah, really? Me too. Because I know Greek mythology. I did not know there was a separate.
Yeah,
interesting.
Nordic mythology, Roman.
There's basically,
all kinds of mythology.
This book leads me in many directions of rabbit holes to go down.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he didn't want to be killed by a woman. So
that is very relevant to today.
And she is not named.
And so again, the ladies are like, and she doesn't even have a name. So.
A certain woman, she didn't get a name because it would have made it even worse probably if she had a name. Susan.
And another mention of a concubine / handmaid.
Yeah, and isn't it funny that he was the only one that was born by a concubine?
Oh.
And he killed all the other ones that were actually his wives, which makes me believe, why would you want to be a wife? I guess it doesn't give you any extra.
Doesn't give you any extra. That's what we're learning from this old Bible talk here. Another weird story with this dude, Jephthah. This one, and so who's commenting on this? We got ECS.
Of course, she's back.
She's back to comment on this story about.
This must be really important because I highlighted two colors.
What is it? Talk to us. You got two colors here.
Two colors.
What are we talking about?
Well, basically, first, I guess we should talk about what she's talking about before she goes down there. So
we need to talk about what they're talking about.
We got to talk about, they picked...
And which part of the Bible...
Which part of the Bible...
they're talking about.
Because there's some smoting.
Oh, I love when they smote.
I love a good smote.
Yeah.
And again, all these battles are happening because the Lord wants people to battle. And the chosen people are the Israelites, right? So Jephthah came to Mitzpah. onto his house. And behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and dances, as she was his only child.
Aww.
And he neither had son nor daughter. And then something happens, and he has to sacrifice her.
Like how it goes from like, and she danced and
loved
she
her
had
dad.
a tambourine, and he's like, listen, girl,
You gotta go.
you gotta go.
The Lord said, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and then doesn't, and she's like, anything you say, Father. So
Yeah, she does it.
yeah, the book of Judges again is about just blind faith.
And not only that, she's not sad that her dad wants to send her away and I think sacrifice her.
Yeah.
But she's more, it says, and she said unto her father, let this thing be done for me. But just let me alone for 2 months so I can go up and down the mountains and bewail my virginity, I and my fellows.
She's like,
So she's not sad she's going to die.
No, she's worried. Yeah.
My virginity is going to go unvirginated. I will not be defiled. Is that weird? Like what?
Okay, it's flat out weird, but
Thank
people
you.
take it very seriously.
I'm going to bewail my
And why are
virginity.
we again? This is thousands of years old, and there's not much change. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, people aren't sacrificing their daughters so much anymore. So Elizabeth writes, a woman's vow, as we've already seen, could be disallowed at the pleasure of any male relative, but a man's was considered sacred, even though it involved the violation of the sixth commandment, the violation of the individual rights of another human being. What is the sixth commandment?
But here's good question. I don't know. I would assume
it's like don't violate
Don't-
the individual
don't,
rights. Don't kill.
yeah, thou shalt not kill your daughter because you heard a voice in your head.
I love when Elizabeth writes, she uses the term pathetic. So
Yes.
she's like, the submission of Isaac and Jephthah's daughter to this violation of their most sacred rights is truly pathetic.
Pathetic. You pathetic.
But like
fools.
all oppressed classes, they were ignorant of the fact that they had any natural, inalienable rights. Let's
Yeah.
repeat that. Like all oppressed classes, they were ignorant of the fact that they had any natural or inalienable rights.
Maybe that's what's happening.
It is what's
in
happening.
The Americas.
We have this is where I'm like, tell me, is this written in 1895 or 2025? We have such a type of womanhood even in our day. If any man asked Jephthah's daughter if she would not like to have the Jewish law on vows so amended that she might disallow her father's vow and thus secure herself the right of life, she would no doubt have said, no, I have all the rights I want. Just as a class of New York women said in 1895 when it was proposed to amend the Constitution of the state in their favor.
They did, and they did. That's what made ECS so angry.
Talk to me.
That's her little bitterness in there.
I like that.
Because she's been fighting. And all those women turned on her. Even her bestie.
Even Susan B? Or
She
who was her
did it-
bestie? Was it-
Susan B. Yeah, that was her bestie.
Gosh.
She turned on her, not like she tried to make them not be so mean to her. They're like, she's like, I love her. But she chose the suffragists over her bestie who had been with her fighting this whole time.
That's right. Because of
So-
this Bible. She's like, you got to.
And I think that would be more scarring than anything that happened to Elizabeth, you know?
Yeah,
So I think
especially
she
they
talks
work
about
together.
that. Like, she's like, these women,
Yeah.
she's talking directly to them.
Yep.
She probably has names in there. Because
probably
if she's
does.
anything like me, she's like,
She's got a shit list.
she's got them. She
She's
won't
got
say
'em.
them out loud.
She's got them.
They're there.
By the way, if you'd like to know the name of this young tambourine dancer, we don't have the name because it's another woman that gives her life for God, but she doesn't have a name in the
And
Bible.
really, isn't it sad? Because she loved her dad so much.
Mm-hmm.
It was mainly for her dad. And the only thing that she was sad about, that her dad was going to have her sacrificed, killed,
Mm-hmm.
is that she would be childless.
Yeah.
Which also leads us to today, when apparently, if you have 6 children, you could get a medal.
You can get a medal. We'll see. Better be a good
People
one.
are excited about it. Although I did mention it to my young niece and nephew, 20s, almost 30s. And they were like, nobody wants a medal.
Nobody wants a medal.
That's not going to go far.
Unless it's holding like, 100K in Bitcoin.
Well, there you go.
The other thing that I liked about Elizabeth's response, so she starts, I think you're right about her being bitter. She
Bitter?
literally
Yes.
starts to write almost like a monologue for this unnamed woman.
Can I read it?
Yeah, is that
no.
is this where
Yes.
it says, I will not consent?
Yes.
I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, this is like her imaginary...
Look at, I was like, I love this.
She's got 2 colors of highlighters. I'm just going to let you go for it.
Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, she's like feeling it, and she's like, this poor woman. We often hear people laud the beautiful submission and the self-sacrifice of this nameless maiden. To me, it is pitiful and painful that this page of history were gilded with a dignified, whole-souled rebellion. I would have had daughter receive the father's confession with a stern rebuke, saying, quote, I will not consent to such a sacrifice. Your vow must be disallowed. You may sacrifice your own life as you please, but you have no right over mine. I am on the threshold of life. The joys of youth and middle age are all before me. You are in the sunset. You have had your blessings and your triumphs, but mine are yet to come. Life is to me full of hope and happiness. Better that you die than I. If the God whom you worship is pleased with the sacrifice of a human life, I consider that God has made me the arbiter of my own fate and all my possibilities. My first duty is to develop all the powers given to me and to make the most of myself and my own life. Self-development is a higher duty than self-sacrifice. I demand the immediate abolition of the Jewish law on vows. Not with my consent can you fulfill yours. This would have been a position worthy of a brave woman.
Ooh. See, I think Elizabeth would have like written plays if she...
Oh my gosh.
Or she could.
1,000%.
I could just picture being like, that's what she should have said, and we don't have a name for that lady.
You know what she'd be doing now because there's multimedia? She could just draw it out and have like...
And I can't agree more with... So LS, that's Louisa Southworth of Cleveland, she follows with the ideal womanhood portrayed by ancient writers has had by far too much sway. I mean, what else do you need to say? She
Too
does
much
say,
sway.
Yeah. The prevailing type which permeates all literature is that of inferiority and subjection. And it's like
in your face.
It's in your face. It's like permeates everything. And to think, again, we're looking at texts, I'm going to keep saying it, like 2,000 years old. Like no updates.
No updates.
No updates. No.
Even though you know all these fabulous, amazing
updates.
And even they write about these fabulous women who steal the gold they need to make stuff, who...
Put
nails in the temples of some evil people.
Save Moses.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Seriously.
What on earth? How did this get misconstrued and continue to be marketed? Well, I guess it's not marketed. It's tradition.
It is.
Just like the white dresses.
Listen to this last part that LS says. What women have to win for the race is a theory of conduct which shall be more equitable. The unalterable subserviency of women in her natural condition can never be overcome in social development progress so long as there is a lack of distributive justice to every living soul without discrimination of sex.
That's it. It's not we're asking for more.
Actually,
equality.
Yeah, we are. Just kidding. I was like, at this point, yeah.
Now we're asking for more in 2025.
I'm like, I'm kidding. Be nice.
I'm gonna.
All right. Okay. We're going
Wait,
through.
what about this? What a masculine coloring is given to the rest of the narrative. A maiden who did not mourn her death, but wandered up and down the mountain, mourning her virginity. I love that. Just what masculine coloring.
These ladies and their words.
What a mask. I know. I love words.
I'm reading their stuff, and I seriously could up my vocab game.
I know. Like this, I'm going to use pernicious more.
Isn't pernicious kind of like smarty pants or sneaky? Or
subtle harm.
Oh, that's even better than I...
We must destroy the root of this false and pernicious teaching and plant in its place a just and righteous doctrine.
These ladies,
they're being positive.
I'm like, they're being positive. And you know what?
Logical.
They're not the type of people that are saying there's a problem and not offering solutions.
They're doing both.
We got a whole book for you.
It's not a concept of a plan.
They wrote.
It's a book.
I know. It's already here.
The
we got it.
concept came to fruition, and we're holding it in our hands.
I'm like, we totally got it.
Sadly, it's well over 100 years old.
Oh, my goodness.
No one took their fully executed plan and fixed the problem.
I know. We just need to pick it up. They got busy with wars or whatever.
Well, the Lord's work, you mean?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Oh, so we're still in Judges. What other like horrible things they do to women in here?
Zora.
Look,
I do like the name Zora.
I do too.
I just like saying
What about,
some names.
so this is where we're getting to the wife of Manoah, the future mother of Samson.
Samson and
Because
Delilah.
we're getting into the Samson and Delilah part.
Everybody loves Samson and Delilah. I think they made it in a few songs. And if you make it in a song,
It's a great story.
You're well loved or hated. Either one. I don't know.
This one has, what is this story here?
I think
like,
that's
blah,
basically,
blah, blah,
it's basically telling us
blah,
where
blah, blah. Where Samson comes from.
comes from.
Okay.
We come now to a very interesting incident, giving proof of the remarkable knowledge to which the writers had of some intrinsic laws and the power of transmission, which even today are known and adhered to by only a very small minority of wise and thoughtful mothers. They were telling her to give birth to a very good child, you should not drink while you're pregnant.
Oh, yep.
You shouldn't put
unclean food.
a razor on his head. You shouldn't. You shouldn't drink wine nor strong drink. Eat anything unclean. And if you do all those things, you'll have a very healthy baby. And then they go on to basically say, "Oh, that's great that she did all that. Too bad they didn't think about maybe teaching him some morals."
Yeah,
because he kind of turned out to be a real
loose cannon.
Loose cannon.
He was a loose cannon. So, this is the part that really interested me because, again, we have the themes of not trusting your internal, like you can only get instruction from external.
From the book.
From
Doesn't
these
come
laws.
internally.
And so there's an angel that visits and tells him all these rules about, don't eat unclean food, don't put a razor on a baby's head, all this stuff.
I like how she says, "Who is this? Is this Elizabeth again?"
CBN.
No,
CBN's the first.
Oh, no. Yep, CBN. She says, "It appears that the writer was acquainted with some prenatal influences and their effect upon the unborn."
Yeah, she's like very kind.
Very nice.
So, but she's talking about, I find this a really interesting idea. The angel who appeared to Manoah's wife was probably her own inner sense.
Mm-hmm. No one else saw her.
And I like this. So, I have a note. It's like, do women have to claim their own thoughts as angels? So, do you know what
this was fascinating.
Because they were so, repressed and submissive that they probably had to express their own opinions to be like, well, an angel told me in a dream.
Yeah.
That's the only way they could be accepted.
But she was probably like, "Hey, can you quit drinking and don't shave my baby's head? I think that's dirty."
Yeah.
There's a little rust on it.
To me, this type of stuff is devastating. Like if religion is to remove any trust of like your internal
Because that's
thoughts.
so important, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't trust your gut, that's where all the problems happen.
Right. It is everything. So she says probably her own inner sense, and the appearance is to be understood rather as a figure of speech than as an actual occurrence. Although there may have been, as there are today, people who were so credulous as to believe that such things actually occurred. The angel who whispers into our ears is knowledge, foresight, high motive,
ideality.
Thank you. Ideality, unselfish love. A conscious attitude towards the ideal still unattained, a lofty standard of virtue for the coming offspring, an intelligent, pure fatherhood, and a wise, loving motherhood must take the place of a mysterious, instinctive trust, the blind faith of the past. CBN.
Yeah, I love her.
Clara. Actually, there's two Claras.
Oh.
That's Clara Naaman.
That's not the free thinker.
No, she's a free thinker. Clara B. Naaman. But I just wanted to remind you of Clara Bewick Colby.
Oh.
She was a journalist that had her own paper. But that was the theme that she responded to, and I thought that was really interesting. You got something about Elizabeth?
Because
look, she's so excited. She's like, "Oh my gosh!"
Because this had me just like rolling, and I read it, and then I listened to it on the audiobook, and I'm like, I like it even more. So basically, she's talking about women not trusting themselves, right? So that's the whole thing of this section. It's like, oh, I got to lie and say that an angel told me. And then she says, I suppose that it is from these biblical examples that the wives of this republic are known as Mrs. John Doe or Mrs. Richard Doe, to whatever row or doe she may belong. If she chanced to marry 2 or 3 times, the woman's identity is wholly lost. To make this custom more ludicrous, women sometimes keep the names of 2 husbands, clinging only to the maiden name, as Dolly Doe Rowe, ignoring her family name, the father from whom she may have derived all of her talent. So Samson's wife had no name, nor had the second woman who he had bestowed his attentions. But to the third one was vouchsafed the name Delilah, where Delilah came in. And she ended up being a very interesting lady. But the Roe Doe, Miss Dolly Doe Rowe.
That cracks me.
Dolly Doe Rowe.
I think last week we were like, what's up with all the polygamy in the Bible?
Yeah.
And I promise, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to look into that. And I'm going to do like a show note on that. And I could not find anything that wasn't just like a church web page that was like, yeah, that was in there, but it's like not, and don't worry about it. But
only the Mormons do
they're
that.
Like, it's not really. But I find that very interesting that
it's hard to find the information.
Yeah, it's hard to find the information about like, well, there's like a ton of is polygamy. Do you have to be like married or you just have different partners?
Well, you're having more than one wife at the same time.
More than one wife. So, I mean, we've already seen several examples of men that have a couple wives.
Yeah, but they did
concubines.
say it was very easy for a man to go, I don't like you anymore, divorce.
Right.
Now, in the 1800s, very hard for a woman to get divorced. And if she did decide to leave, you get nothing, not even your kids.
In the 1800s or in
1800s. Yeah. But back then, men could just be like, I'm divorced. See you later.
Right.
Wife and kids. I need a younger.
Well, back like 2,000 years ago, they didn't have a bunch of like courts and laws and banking and property that were tied up.
Well, they did. But
stuff.
they just had the Bible to look at. And they're like, are you my cousin?
Yeah.
Okay. You can keep it.
You're
still in the family. I like it. But also relevant with the last names, Rodo, Miss Rodo, Save Act.
I know.
Right now, right?
Coming at you.
Yeah. Because I always in my head knew I would probably change my name. And I didn't get when people got married and didn't.
Really?
Yeah. And now I totally get it. Because like, why would you change you're still the same person. Why can't you just keep your last name, Because it took me like 5 years to stop writing my last name.
Yeah.
And I still mess up sometimes.
I know, it's interesting.
Because I didn't get married till I was really old. I was like 38. So I had a big tie-in to that last name.
Right. And from my perspective, as somebody, I've always thought all of that stuff was extremely weird. Mm-hmm. Where I was just like, I was like, why would you do any of that?
See, I never questioned it. I never, literally never.
But yeah, I mean, just depends on like what. And I don't know what made me think of it that way, but I was like, I don't know why.
Yeah, well, it's funny because right before I got married, a lady I worked with, she's like, I am not changing my name. And I'm like, girl, why? Like, do you love them? And now I'm like, oh, good on you, because you don't have to worry about the Save Act and your name not matching your birth certificate, because who would have thought that we might have an authoritarian government that would not let you vote?
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thunk?
I know. I'm like, it's so...
Okay. But yeah, probably these ladies would have thunk it.
They would have thunk it.
If I would have read this earlier,
right,
I would have kept my name. But luckily...
But I also, even though I'm like, I was always like, all of that stuff seemed really, I probably didn't have enough knowledge at the time to be like patriarchal, but I was just mostly like, that seems like a weird property transfer situation.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a wedding and seeing it, and I'm like, these people don't even know why they're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Like in that order and in that way and wearing these things. Mm-hmm. And everybody just does it.
Tradition.
They just do it.
I mean, I don't know why. It's crazy.
And that being said,
yeah,
I also am like, I could see why people do it, because you're like, why not? Birthday parties are fun. That's tradition,
Yeah, tradition.
Whatever. I know there should be more candles and fire at a wedding. So that's all I'm saying.
It is soothing.
That's all I'm saying. So, yeah, tell us about Samson and Delilah. That'll be our last little situation.
Little Samson and Delilah. Well, obviously, so
is this the guy with the hair?
I mean, he did have hair.
I don't think they talk about it here though. But isn't that the story where he like?
I think it is a really good story because everybody talks about it. I didn't research it.
Didn't Delilah cut off Samson's hair?
Yeah, I think so. All right. Samson's immense strength, which was attributed to his long hair as a Nazarite, and Delilah was a Philistine woman who was bribed to discover the secret of his strength. Delilah uses her wiles to coax Samson into revealing that his strength is tied to his hair. Then she betrays him to the Philistines, who capture, blind, and imprison him.
Ooh, okay. So
she was a Philistine.
She was a Philistine. What is a Philistine?
Not a Nazarite.
Okay. Shut up. I don't know what that means either.
The Philistines were oppressing the Israelites.
Were they?
Yeah.
The Israelites had a rough go of it.
They were born as slaves, right?
Right.
That was the whole thing.
Right.
Free to slaves, free to slaves. So Samson and Delilah, Samson, a Nazarite, which is an Israelite that doesn't drink and grows his hair.
Okay.
Delilah, a Philistine, not liked by the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
But he falls in love with her. She's beautiful.
Mm.
And he, who doesn't like a pretty woman?
This
is where the pretty woman comes into the Bible.
Does she have a pleasing face?
I believe she has a pleasing face, and he took her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the one. And she ends up being the end of him. Kind of funny.
Oh, see, that'll get you every time. So that's the lesson. The biblical lesson is probably like you shouldn't go for the pretty woman.
Don't go for the pretty one.
She'll
go for the devout one.
She'll take away all your power. So we're like pushing an hour. So if you had to.
So as soon as Samson saw that he was betrayed, he sent his wife back to her father's house because she found out that his hair was his strength and told all of her peeps. He said, "You go back, you evil woman." And Samson loved the woman and he forgave her. And he was like, I sent her back, but I want her back because I love her. But the father said, "Oh, sorry, I already gave her away to someone else."
Oh.
Because, they could do that.
Yeah.
You take women, you give them away.
Your property.
The commenters say that it was very generous in Samson to make this concession, as he was the party that was offended. But Samson was himself a riddle and a paradox of a man. Quote, he saw something in her face which pleased him well. He in that choice of a wife is guided by his eye and governed by his fancy. I think that's, his fancy.
Oh, his fancy. Oh, that's fancy. A good
that's a little
new term.
Yeah,
your little...
But must afterwards blame himself if he find a Philistine in his arms. It is a great calamity. Here's the ladies. Okay. This is ECS.
I love a calamity.
It is a great calamity that even able men are so easily influenced by weak and wicked women to do what they know is dangerous, and yet they feel it a disparagement to follow the advice of a good wife in what is virtuous and praiseworthy.
But then if they do bad stuff, they just blame the women.
Yeah.
They're just blaming the women.
Yeah, but if the good wife is like, hey, I think you should stop spending our entire paycheck at the bar.
Yeah.
They're like, woman, go back to your kitchen. Make me a sandwich.
My favorite parts about the comments is how Elizabeth goes into these kind of rants about modern
times.
Modern reporters.
Yes.
Yeah.
She goes after the media. It's so funny.
It's weird about how she's like, well, our modern people would have sensationalized this or given us more details about Delilah's wedding gown.
What she looked like and what she wore. We get the whole rundown.
I don't know why she did that.
Well, probably because they were not dealing with the issues like she was fighting for. Remember,
Thank you.
She's going to Congress all the time, speaking to all these men in power, and they're just ignoring the living crap out of her. And then the media is, probably telling about a queen's wedding and what they're wearing and all the unimportant.
That's exactly what. So, see, I'm glad one of us is a thinker. That's why she... Actually, is this Elizabeth who writes this? No, this is PAH.
I mean, all these ladies, they're done.
They're done with this stuff. She's like, the book of Judges contains the record of many harrowing events. But what besides savagery can be expected of a warring people whose deity is invoked as the, quote, God of battles, unquote, and who would believe themselves divinely commissioned to drive other tribes from the face of the earth? Exclamation point. The book is as sensational as our newspapers. And if each chapter and verse were illustrated as are the papers of what is termed the, quote, new journalism,
quote unquote,
exactly, they would present an appearance of striking and painful similarity. I love that little dig.
Yeah.
These chicks.
They're on it.
They're on it, and they've
been there, done that, and they're done.
So I wonder if the people like in 1895 were reading this and they're like, oh, like she's calling us out.
Yeah,
or, know, what's going on?
What
here?
is happening?
I know. So that was like the main thing because the other stuff I have underlined is really, I don't want to be like, it's more of the same. But
yeah, it goes back.
I'm like, and blah, 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 women, they don't get any. They never get a thing.
How about this one? So she, again, this is PAH. Talks about, I did look up a little bit. Cuba was having some trouble at that time.
Oh, really? In the late 1800s?
I don't know what was happening, but yeah, there was stuff going down. So she talks to that.
Trust us.
Look it up.
Yeah, look at
what was happening in Cuba in 1899.
Yeah,
but
check it for the
happening.
show notes. Yeah.
And she says, we depreciate the savage and butchery of the one. What ought we say of the renown of others? War is everywhere terrible. Mm-hmm. And, quote, deeds of violence and of blood are sad reminders of the imperfections of mankind.
Boom.
The men of those, quote, colonial days, Bible colonial days.
Bible colonial, it's a thing.
We don't know what I mean. We'll tell you.
No, I'll put it in the show notes.
Show notes. Go to the show notes. The men of those colonial days were far from being patterns of excellence, and the women matched the men in most instances. Deborah, as mother in Israel, one deserved renowned, so that her song of victory is now even rehearsed. But it is a query that can have but one answer, whether her anthem of triumph is not a musical rehearsal of treacherous and warlike deeds. Are they not unworthy of a woman's praise?
Ooh, you know what? This is getting me right here, 2025, because that's the type of crap I'm talking about. If you notice, it is part of our culture that, look how much veterans, well, of course, like we appreciate veterans.
Oh my gosh.
But there is nothing more honorable than somebody going to fight a battle, even though it's not like their battle. Nobody's like taking up arms out of their own personal like morality, of their own volition and stuff. They're being told what to do by somebody higher up. And that, like, we have been indoctrinated to believe that that is the ultimate highest honor and sacrifice. And the sacrifices and daily battles that women take on are like completely disregarded.
Yeah. I mean, that says it.
And it was baked in this book for thousands of years. I'm so happy to wrap up Judges on that note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't that uplifting?
On that such uplifting note.
Yes.
I know, but it meets the times, you know.
It meets the times.
We're just meeting you where we all are.
That's right. So, next week,
Ruth.
Yeah, we will be talking about Ruth and the book of Samuel. And it features the second most exciting hero story in the whole Bible, David and Goliath.
Who doesn't like?
Because our first favorite...
Death of a giant with a rock.
I know. Our first favorite hero story is Deborah. And you know, Joanna, who reminds me of David and Goliath?
Who?
Us.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I feel it, actually.
Do you feel it? Yeah.
In my core.
Yeah. You know why? Because we're just two independent podcasters trying to find an audience in a sea of big money media.
Right.
You know?
Throwing rocks on the TikToks.
Won't you help us gather some rocks to beat Goliath?
Please.
Support our humble yet worthy endeavor and share this episode. Rate this podcast and write a review in the voice of your favorite Victorian feminist.
Yes! Do it!
Wouldn't that be fun?
Like, share, subscribe.
That's right.
I love it.
Can't get enough? Check the show notes for extra info and ways to send us a text or voicemail. And if you're not on your phone quite enough, because not a lot of people are.
And you should be taking time for yourself. Do some nature bathing. Very important for your mental health.
Bring your phone while you're nature bathing and check out the weird stuff we're doing on TikTok and YouTube.
Oh my gosh. The TikTok, Sara Kaye. You're killing me.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Full-time TikToker.
May your week be full of wisdom and inspiration.
Amen.
See you next week.